Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and continue our online hijama course. We're going to go ahead and continue where we stopped. We're going to now talk about filling out medical history form, which is the medical term is anamnesis form, chapter 3, subcategory 2, filling out medical form. If you're practicing hijama for your friends or your families or your neighbors, you don't have to fill out a medical form or you don't have to follow your patients. But if you're a nurse or a medical doctor, and definitely you should follow your patients and fill out the medical form for each session. This form you see in the screen, I have created in 2010. Since then, I'm using it. It's fine. If you have more than 200 patients a month, then I will definitely recommend you to upgrade to digital form. There are lots of digital version of medical history form. I don't have it available, but you can go ahead and look at the Google apps or internet because the paper version is not going to be suitable for you. But if you have less than 200 patients a month, that's fine. You can use the paper version too. Let's go ahead and try to explain to you how we're going to use this medical form, patient history form. At the top, you see the first thing is we don't want you to use our logo. If anybody wants to use this medical history form, you can write from WhatsApp the number you see on the screen. Myself, or my assistant, she's gonna send it to you, JPEG version of this medical form, which is free. We are not asking anything, but it's not ethical to use our logo if you are not a member of the Hijama Institute. You can use our logo, become a member, and you can use it. It's not a problem. This medical form has two sides, front side and the back side. Filling out front side is very easy. As you see over here, patient information, patient's name, age, and blood type of the job. Some people hesitate to give information about their job. Reason we are asking job-related diseases, such as like a carpenter might have different medical problem than painters. So in the past, I wanted to collect like job information, and actually in the past, I used to record people who comes from or where they live. Like a person who lives in Texas might have different medical problem to person who lives in Chicago, or person who lives in the West might have different medical problem who lives in the East. So it's not necessary unless you're doing huge medical research, but just for you, simple diagnose form, simple medical form is not really necessary. We're going to go ahead and I will tell you which area is the necessary, which area is the not necessary. As you see, middle of the medical history form, there are list of diseases. Whatever disease applies to your patient, you can you just go ahead and put a check mark in front of it. There are more than 5,000 diseases in the pathological list. If your patient disease does not appear on this list, just go ahead and use this dotted area, write the disease manually. You can write it handwriting by manually. This picture is basically, picture below here is basically main hijama points we're going to use. We're going to talk about that later. You can obtain from Amazon or from different sources, at least by 24-inch by 17-inch, meaning is 50 centimeter by 35 centimeter is the same measurement. Try to get one of these hijama atlas points because and the rest of your life you're gonna use it a lot. We're gonna need it. We're gonna talk about later. Let's go ahead and turn the page, other side, back side of the medical history form. And now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to try to explain to you what we need this backside of the form for. As you see numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means you can follow up your patient up to 6th session. Letters H, L, and A stands for each session. You can put a mark whether you do hijama or leech therapy or acupuncture. On the left side, it says P name. That's mean is the practitioner names. Sometimes there are some clinics, they have more than one practitioners, so they want to divide who's doing what, so they want to see the practitioner names. At the time of the session, you should put the date, and definitely this is more important part. From each session, you should take blood pressure and check the patient pulse. Now we came to very important points. On the left, you see application point. This application point, wherever you do hijama, wherever you apply hijama, you can write numbers over here. Whether you can use a hijama atlas, whether you can use acupuncture points, or if you're a physiotherapist and if you know exactly name of the bones, so the references only you're gonna understand where you do hijama. It will be better if you use acupuncture reference points. That way everybody will be in the same page. Second column is the color of the degree, meaning is when you do hijama, sometimes in some area the blood coming out is really black, and some area is considered that area is like a red. So if it's really black, you can put a number 10, a scale from 1 to 10. And if it's the blood is very clean and very red, then you can put 1. If it's in the middle, you can put it on 5. And third column is the amount of the blood in the cup. If there are some cups they manufactured recently, they do have a scale how many ounce or how many milligram you draw from each cups. If you don't have scale, so you can look at the cup. If it's in the bottom, you can put it on 1. If it's the cup is filled the full amount, you can write it 10. If it's on the middle, you can write it 5. Now we came the most important part of the medical history form. It says foam and blocked area. This is for me, this area is the most important. Until the end of the whole class, I don't know how many recordings we're going to done. Maybe I'm planning like a 35 or 40 videos. I'm going to repeat at least 10 times. I'm going to go ahead and say first time now, wherever you see foam or blocked area, when you do hijama, after you do the cuts, there are some areas the blood doesn't coming out at all. No blood coming out at all. And sometimes you see foam. Foam doesn't mean the cup is leaking air. The foam, I'm going to tell you reason later. Actually, I can tell you later. When you collect the garbage in one area, like the city garbage collecting area, if they don't taking care of that garbage area, the garbage will produce gases at the later, like 2, 3, 5 years later. The human body is the same philosophy applied. When under the skin, when there is no circulation in dermis level or epidermis level of the skin, so when the blood doesn't circulate, it's gonna turn into the gas and actually a previous stage of the cancer. That's the meaning. So you're going to take very carefully note. You're going to put a mark on here where the foam and where the blocked area. In next session, you're going to have to apply leeches. I'm going to tell later why, because you cannot, no matter how many sessions you do on this area, you're not going to be able to open this area with the hijama. If you do even 10 sessions of the hijama, this area is not going to be opened. You have to use leeches. I'm going to tell you why in next classes. So move on to the next block, notes. If there is any notes, you can write it over here. And if you see, if you have a acupuncture training, you can take a notes over here. Actually, it's not enough to take acupuncture training. You have to have like some electronic measurement material. You can take notes to each meridians if any problem in the meridians. I don't want to talk too much about this issue unless you know the acupuncture. I'll postpone this area. So first session, second session, third session, fourth, fifth, sixth session. In the first session, patient comes and you measure the blood, you take the blood pressure. It's 22 to 18, meaning it's the 220 to 180. After the sixth session, you measure again 120 to 80. After the first until the sixth session. This is a basic, simple medical form. You can tell your patient, hey, look, your blood pressure went down. If you know how to do a blood sugar level, check the blood sugar level. Each time also you can do a blood sugar level check. Also you can write your the patient pulse, and you can follow up your patients very academically. Even you are not a nurse or a doctor, still this is a good way of to follow your patients. Thank you.